You ready to do this, Matt?
Yes, sir. Punch it, Chewy.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton. My co-pilot's Matt Shaw. We're two nerds. We just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 193. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on the website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by, relax a while. Hit that subscribe button if you like what you're hearing, and you can get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Matt, it's been a week, and then some it feels like. How are you, my brother?
Yes, it has been, and I'm great. I liked 10,000 Super Friend points if you can find out where the intro was slightly different.
I can tell you exactly where it was different.
It was a little bit dancier, a little more ad-libby. I liked it. Anyway, it's been a really good week, man. I don't know. It was my birthday on Saturday, so that was fun. Had kind of a nice...
Happy birthday.
Thank you. A nice little birthday weekend, I guess.
You got the gift I sent you, right?
Oh, yeah, man. Big fat pile of nothing.
What? No. I sent you a strippergram. Did that not show up?
Shh.
Oh.
Yes.
Sorry. I said
Crystal
Candygram.
showed up.
Candygram. Sorry, Candygram.
Yes.
Gotcha.
The Candy showed up. Her name was Candy. Was
it delicious?
Oh, gosh.
Sorry.
Anyway, moving on. It was a decent week. During the week, there wasn't a lot that happened. Just kind of stay home, worked, and hung out, watched some movies with Jesse, and played a little bit Ghost of Tsushima, and just kind of the day-to-day. And then on Friday, I took half the day off, and we went out to the outlets, and we went to, like, the Nike store, which finally reopened. It's been closed since the pandemic started. So the Nike store reopened. They had, like, a 30% off everything sale, so I was really stoked about that. And we went to like the Disney store and some other stores there too. And so we had a fun little afternoon. Went out to eat and came home. And on Monday, was it Monday? Did I talk about this last week? My smoker. Week? I think I mentioned it. Did I?
Maybe.
Anyway,
so.
I got a Green Mountain Grill pellet smoker.
Oh yes, you did.
Yeah, I think I did. So anyway, I smoked a brisket. Which was stupid to start out with like what's notoriously known as the most difficult meat.
Yeah, it's the most difficult, yep.
But I really wanted to do it for my birthday just to try it, and I'd never used the smoker before. I'd never done any of it, and it was gonna rain, and so we put it under our little covered area, and started it at about midnight. Started kind of trimming it at about 10:45 p.m. Put it on, and the next morning it was still going strong and took till about noon or noon 30. So a good 12 and a half hours. And, it wasn't too bad for a first time and kind of getting the first brisket I could see at Sam's Club. Yeah. It ended up being pretty good. Pretty good.
As the resident barbecue guy here, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Was it a Packer brisket?
I don't even know what that means.
Okay, so a Packer brisket is the flat and the point all still together.
Yeah.
Okay. When you trimmed the fat, how much of the fat cap did you leave on it?
Oh, about 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch in some spots.
Okay.
Oh, I know my things. I watched Aaron Franklin, who's kind of the guru of briskets here in Texas. He's kind of a god that we worship.
Yep.
Other than God, we also worship Aaron Franklin.
That's right. What internal temperature was it when you pulled it off the smoker?
About 200.
Okay. Okay.
Right at
I
200.
shoot for about 204, which is where Aaron says to shoot for, but 200 you're still in good shape. Did you wrap it at all?
Only at the very, very, very end for maybe the last hour because it wasn't quite getting to temp like I wanted it to, and I was afraid it was going to burn.
Yeah, you don't really get burning, but you can. So I'm a fan of what we call the Texas crutch, which is wrapping it, whether that's foil or like I do with butcher paper. I basically let it go till it gets to about 165 internal temp, and then I wrap it because about 165, 160, you hit a stall, and the temperature will just sit there for quite a long time, or sometimes even go down a little bit before it starts going again because the meat starts sweating out and that evaporation cools it. Anyway, I'm assuming you went Dalmatian rub, salt and pepper.
Yep. It's an abomination to do anything else in Texas to a brisket.
Yeah. My only thing that I'll do differently that I started doing a little while ago, when I do wrap it, I don't usually put a lot of liquid in with it because you don't really need to. Like if you wrap it, the juices from the fat as it breaks down will be more than enough liquid to kind of keep it still moist so that it's got it doesn't dry out because dry brisket's horrible. But what I started doing a little bit ago is I put maybe like a quarter to a half a cup of beef stock in with it because it's the same flavor you're going to get. It's that beef flavor of the brisket. And so there's a little bit of liquid in there just in case, because I've had some that like for some reason like the fat just didn't give enough liquid and it does kind of dry out a little bit. But yeah, man. Brisket's notoriously tough. Kudos to you, Matt, for going like all out just to begin with.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a labor of love and trial and error, and every smoker is different, and every part of the country does it differently, and everybody wants it different. I like it really, really smoky. Like if I want to feel like I'm eating wood, I like it really smoky. And
you like a good deep smokering?
It's got to be pink red almost. And I got it. So, I mean, I can't complain too much. A little drier than I wanted. Some things I'll probably try next time. And anyway, so that was a lot of fun. Then the rest of the day we just kind of hung out and didn't really party too hard. I watched a lot of basketball. Jesse was like, you can do whatever you want. I was like, okay, I'm going to watch some basketball and eat some ice cream. So,
there you go.
You know, it's nice to have live sports back for those of us that enjoy live sports. It's been fun switching between. I mean, I think we'll have all 4 major sports going on at once at some point this year, which is crazy to me. But that was pretty much the week. It was fun. It was a good time.
Nice.
It was a good time.
Well, from myself and all of the super friends, once again, happy birthday. Which birthday was this? Was this the big 30, 32, 37? What are you now?
Well, I'm not 30. No, Jesse just turned 30, actually.
Right.
That was a fun birthday. 32.
32. Well, you're halfway to retirement age if you retire on the early side. So there you go.
We'll see.
Something to think about.
See if I ever get to retire. Your own business, there's not a lot of retirement benefits that go along. Anyway.
You never know. Well, seriously, though, congratulations. Happy birthday. That's awesome. I'm trying to think, man. I definitely did not have a birthday this week. I did, if you recall last week, tell you that I finished Community.
Yep.
And I needed something new to watch, and I said I was going to give AP Bio a try. And I'm glad I can say that I watched both seasons.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they're only 13 episodes, and they're like 22 minutes long. And it's true. But, managed to get through it in the evenings. Brita rewatched it with me. And I'll say I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I liked it enough. The first half of the first season was, I'm not going to lie, was kind of rough. I was just like, this main character, Jack Griffin, I'm like, he's just a jerk.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be anything redeemable about him that I like. And I actually kind of held that opinion through almost probably all of the first season. Like, eventually his character starts to soften a little bit, but some of the other characters you slowly get to know. I think my main complaint I'll say with this show is that they have some really good characters. The girl who is like wears those Coke bottle glasses. She is great, but they take so long for you to like get to. I think her name's Heather.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it just takes so long for you to get to kind of know her a little bit better and see, like, comedically, she carries a lot of the comedy in a lot of episodes. And I just kind of felt like it was like that the whole show. I kind of went, there's all these other like cast members. And maybe this is an unfair comparison because I'm just coming from Community, which is like, you know, a show that's an ensemble show, and you get to feel like the personality of all these ensemble characters right off the bat.
Yeah.
And in this show, it's like, is it just the main character, or is it an ensemble show? And you like, it kind of feels like that first season they didn't know what they were, and in the second season you get definitely more of that ensemble feel. So like, I like it, but I can see why it maybe didn't do as well as it could have. I think there were some things that it could have done better to probably hook in a larger viewing audience. So.
Yeah, I think that's typical for most shows that I like, to be honest. They could do better at trying to get more people. That's just the story of my life.
I mean, maybe that's the nature of all TV shows, right? Try to, attract as many people as possible. But I just kind of felt like this show in particular, there was this like weird dance where I was like, some episodes feels like we're just meant to care about Jack Griffin.
Right.
The teacher.
Yeah.
And then other episodes like, well, are we supposed to care about the kids? Because like the first half of that first season, I don't think I knew one of the kids' names. I was like, it's the nerdy girl in front and the Prince of Darkness kid sitting in the back, and it's the Coke bottle glasses girl and the one kid in the sweat. Like, I couldn't put names to the characters, and I was like, is that their intent?
Right.
Or do they want you to know? Anyway, kind of the same thing with the other teachers that work there at the school. I kind of went, it's the kind of the married one, and then there's the two single ones, and the one's the kind of the crazy one, and one's the other. I just, but I did enjoy it though. Like overall, I will say, like, I really did enjoy it. It's not going to crack my top 5 all-time comedy shows, but it's a good show. Like, I would definitely say watch it. I would encourage Super Friends to go check it out, try something new, expand your horizons a little bit.
I've told them 1,000 times.
And then
nobody listens.
Come back to the safe embrace of the classics.
Yeah, it is dark though. I mean, it is dark.
Yeah.
It's a dark comedy. So what you've said completely is exactly what every reviewer of that TV show said. He's not likable. We don't like him. We're not going to watch it. And that's fair. But I like shows like that, which is why It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is one of my favorite shows of all time. They're all horrible human beings, and there's nothing redeeming about any of them. Anyway, moving on.
Yep. Let's see here. I got to help my brother a few times this weekend. My brother called me, Saturday morning, and said that he was at a garage sale. He was looking for video games to flip, and he said, hey, I found like a love sack, like one of the big love sacks, and I'm right around the corner from you. If I buy this thing for like $75, can you come over with your truck and help me pick it up? And I was like, yeah, sure. I had to get out of bed. I was still like laying in bed. I mean, I was awake, but I was kind of like looking at my phone.
Yeah.
So I ran over and did that with him and helped him get that on. And I was like, really? You're buying a love sack? Like, I thought you were in video games. He's like, anything that's they're selling for cheaper than it goes for online that I can turn around and flip. And he says that still those things like brand new are selling for like $1,000. I didn't even know that people still bought Lovesacks anymore.
Wow.
I mean, I was pretty sure that company had died out because it was all the rage in like 2004. And, this is now 2020, and I haven't heard anyone use that term in probably a decade. But he still says that they still sell, and so he's hoping to flip it for like $300.
Wow.
And so he's got this big Lovesack now in his garage. And then later in the day, he called me and said, hey, maybe this was even on Sunday. Friday, it was one of these days. Anyway, he called me and he said basically, hey, I'm trying to wire up these lights. And they're called, I think, like pendulum lights. That they hang from the ceiling, and so I go over there to help him, and he's like, I just want to make sure that the wiring, and I looked, I was like, yeah, you're fine, just wire it up like this. Let's do a test here. Yep, okay, we're fine. You're not going to burn down the house. But it was one of those things where, like, my brother, and I love my brother. Everyone on this podcast, all the super friends know I love my brother. He's been a guest host on here multiple times, but he's my brother, and so I get to bust his balls every now and again. He's like looking at all this and like, he's like, yeah, I've kind of done this a few times and hopefully we'll get it right this first time. And I was like, oh, okay. Like thinking like, just install it the way it's supposed to be installed and we'll be fine. So he starts putting it together and he's like, oh shoot, I got to put this on also. Okay. So we have to take it all apart again. And then he's like, oh shoot. And I have to put this on. Okay. Oh shoot. I need the little thing that holds it up against it. And I was like, Josh. And then he's like, oh, shoot. I installed the hardware thing backwards. So now like the little nut thing you have to thread on to hold all of the stuff together is on the opposite side. And I was like, didn't you like look at the directions? He's like, they didn't send this thing with directions. There's no directions. I literally looked down. The directions are on the counter right in front of me. And so I pull my phone out and I take a picture of it and text it to him while he's standing up on the counter. He's like, hey, hold on a second, my phone. He's like, you're texting me? I was like, yeah. And he looked at it and opens up, it's a picture of the thing, and he just looks at me and shakes his head like, you're a jerk. I'm like, literally, the directions are right here on the countertop. How in the world? So anyway, by time, like, it took like, I don't know, like an hour to do the first one. By the time we did the second one, like I made sure I put everything in the like correct order. I was like, this is how we're doing it. And then when he goes to put it up, like he didn't thread it quite right. So like there was too much of the threading hanging out. And I was like, just kind of pull it halfway apart and then you can, adjust it. And he adjusted enough. He goes, that's good enough. Hopefully Steph, his wife, he's like, hopefully she won't notice. And I just laughed. I was like, all right, whatever, do your thing. So I got to hang out with my brother a little bit this weekend. It was fun. I got to bust his balls a bit because, he was just all over the place trying to put this thing together. It was a lot of fun. Let's see here. I did something I haven't done in like 4 or 5 years this weekend. I pulled out my guitar.
Oh, nice.
I've got an electric guitar. I bought a game called Rocksmith years ago. And you can like play along to songs and it kind of helps teach you whether you want to play lead or if you want to play rhythm, if you want to play a bass. And so I think I'm going to start like trying to dedicate like 20 to 30 minutes every day and pull it out and just start playing it again. I always used to be able to play a couple chords and could sing along, with an acoustic guitar, try to woo the ladies back in the day. But I really enjoy being musical and doing stuff that's musical. And so I was like, you know what? I've got this here. Like everyone during this pandemic is doing things and like learning new hobbies and blah. I'm like, I'm growing a beard. That's all I'm doing. It requires literally no work on my part. I just let it happen. So I decided that I'm going to do something with my time and I'm going to spend 20 to 30 minutes every day, maybe on my lunch hour, maybe after work. And I'm just going to play. And I'm going to see how I sound a few months down the road when this pandemic's over and just try to do something different. So, yeah. Oh,
that's awesome.
And the last thing, I feel so sick right now. And it's not like, trust me, it's not COVID. It's nothing like that. But I went to the grocery store tonight and I picked up a few things we needed. And I got these like chicken tenders over in the bakery section, like I don't know, what do you call it, the deli section? And for some reason, like these were like the most saltiest, pepperiest chicken tenders. And so like I ate 3 of them, but I've been drinking so much water right now because I just feel like, I feel like I've like ingested like a block of salt. So that I feel sick to my stomach because I'm just absolutely like sloshy with water right now. I know that's probably the weirdest thing you want to hear, or the Super Friends want to hear. But like, if I move, I bet you if I put the microphone down near my belly and I moved around a little bit, you literally could hear the water going back and
I know
forth.
that noise.
Yeah. So that's that's kind of me in a nutshell. It's been like the weekend went too fast, and but I'm here and I'm happy to be here as always.
Nice. Me too.
Matt, I think we got to kill some Bothans. I think it's time.
Let's do it.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Matt, we're into Rebel Intelligence. We have murdered the Bothans once again for 193 weeks straight. What do you have for me this week?
All right, so this week I've got a little bit of info on a little thing called Back to the Future.
Okay.
So this is the 35th anniversary of Back to the Future. It was earlier last month, I guess. Earlier this month, last month. Anyway, they've got a brand new Blu-ray set. I think they have like a 4K version that came out too. Anyway, it's fun to be a Back to the Future fan.
Always.
And yeah, it always is. On the new release, there's some added kind of bonus features. And there's a featurette that will include never-before-seen auditions for the film featuring Ben Stiller, Kira Sedgwick, John Cryer, Billy Zane, who did get cast, but just not in the role that you'll see him auditioning for, Peter DeLuise, and C. Thomas Howell.
Great Scott!
So there's a bunch of these fun kind of bonus features in there. There's also some recollection. This kind of got John Cryer and Ben Stiller reminiscing on the experience they had of auditioning, and that they knew that Michael J. Fox was never really in danger of losing, the role of Marty to them or anything. But they kind of talked about their recollections of the scenes and their audition process. And it's pretty interesting. If you get a chance, pick it up. Or if you get a chance to just read what Ben Stiller and John Cryer remember about it, how accurate it is, or how they recall it being, go give it a read. I can't read it all here. It would take some time, but it's a fun little. It's fun to think, or it's not fun. Maybe it's interesting to think of these iconic roles being played by someone else.
Well, the funny thing is like they said like there was never any worry about them taking Michael J. Fox, right? But like, wasn't like Eric Stoltz actually like cast, and didn't he actually like do some shooting of
That's
scenes?
what I thought.
Yeah, like I remember hearing this years ago. Like Eric Stoltz actually like shot some footage for the movie, and then there was some sort of like conflict or something, and then Michael J. Fox was offered the role. So obviously he must have auditioned for it,
right? And
must have been the second pick after the director or whatever just said like, no, Stoltz isn't working out or whatever.
I'm sure that the 35th anniversary will tell us much more about the process.
Yeah,
It looks like it's going to be a good time. But Back to the Future, time travel, time machine, good stuff.
Boy, that's a movie I can't imagine being cast with anyone else. Like, Michael J. Fox is Marty McFly.
Absolutely.
Matt, I've got something that's interesting. This is kind of in the tech world. This actually probably should interest you as someone who works with Amazon.
Okay.
Jeff Bezos, who we know wants to rule the world, I think.
Yes, our benevolent overlord, yep.
Yes. He has been pushing to launch something called Project Cooper.
Okay.
I think it's Cooper. Kuiper. I'm going to say Cooper.
Sure.
Basically, it's to put 3,236 satellites into orbit so that he can beam internet coverage all over the Earth. And the Federal Communications Commission has now given Bezos and Amazon the go-ahead for this project. So it's seeming like in the future, in the year 2000... I don't know if anyone remembers that old Conan reference, okay?
Beautiful.
But in the future, Amazon is going to try to launch all these satellites so that they can beam internet signals all around the planet and bathe the planet in Amazon internet. And I'm just using air quotes that you super friends can't see. And I don't know if that's what they're going to call this thing. It's probably going to be like, they're probably going to call it like EchoCast or something. Like it's going to tie into their whatever somehow, I'm sure. But they're trying to get these, they're trying to put up basically like a constellation's worth of like low Earth orbit satellites, so that they can provide broadband like all across the world. And I think that Jeff Bezos said that there's like all sorts of areas that don't have internet still, that are very rural. And if they had the ability to, have satellite dishes and get the internet that way, this, that, and the other. As someone who has Comcast right now and pays for broadband and desperately hoped that Google was going to really roll out the Google Fiber, because if you remember, like, they were like coming to a city near you, and they would always announce like the next city, and they were like, it was like a thing, like cities would try to like, we'll give you this sort of tax break and whatever to try to get Google to come in and provide Google Fiber in their city.
Yeah.
I really thought Google was going to be the real big player to try to like get, internet everywhere, as far as like one of these like big tech companies.
Yes.
But looks like Amazon, Google's kind of backed off. We know that. Google backed off a number of years ago, but looks like Amazon's going the old satellite route, which I think is probably smarter than trying to actually lay fiber across the entire world.
Right.
You can just go get a satellite dish.
Yes. Very interesting.
Yes, your benevolent overlord, and soon to be our benevolent overlord, is going to provide us, I don't know, Cooper Systems, broadband, I don't know, something. Make up a name.
Crazy. Okay, well, from that crazy to something else funny. Crazy, okay. Funny. So you never start out, oh, this is going to be funny when you talk about the author who wrote The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. It's not a funny book.
I don't know what that book is.
It's, wow. Mr. Under a Rock. Have you seen Bridge to Terabithia or read that book?
No.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Well, have you seen New Girl?
No.
With Macaulay Oh my gosh. Okay.
You mean My Girl?
Or My Girl. No. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I love how I know the name of it. I know the movie, but no, I haven't seen it.
Devastating, serious type movies. They are movies and books. They come across as they're going to be light and playful, or they're going to be about something else, and it ends up being devastating.
Okay.
So that's
So he's a bait and switch kind of guy.
Yeah, that one. Kind of. It's not necessarily bait and switch. It's just like, it's heartbreaking.
Does he make you feel all warm and fuzzy at the beginning?
Well,
and then does he rip your heart out?
A little bit. Okay, I never read the book.
So, sorry, what's Bait and Switch Boy's name again?
Okay, so this is John Boyne.
John Boyne, okay.
The guy who wrote The Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
His name is Boyne?
Yes.
And he wrote a
Boyne.
And he wrote a book called Boy in the... Boyne in the Striped Pajamas? Okay,
wow.
Sorry,
that's not even the funny part.
Oh, there's a funny part. Okay.
I was trying to say he is a very serious author, and he has written a historical novel.
Okay.
And the novel is called A Traveler at the Gates of Wisdom. And this is a new novel from him.
That sounds very sleepy.
It says, telling tales from across the breadth of human history. It deals with a lot of stuff that was real and actually happened and all of this stuff. So it's kind of a historical fiction type book. Long story short, an image popped up shortly after the release of the book of a page where I'm just going to read this to you. Quoting the book now. I employed spicy pepper, the tail of the red Lizalfos, and 4 Hylian shrooms. Does any of that sound familiar?
That sounds like something out of The Legend of Zelda.
That is straight from The Legend of Zelda. Earlier in the paragraph, it talks about an Octorok eyeball.
What?
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a historical book from a serious author who has written many quite popular books talking about dyeing clothes red by using a list of ingredients from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It comes... So everyone's speculating, how does this happen? Is this an Easter egg? Did he do this on purpose?
Did he go to Wikipedia for his research?
So it turns out he has admitted it on Twitter. Yeah, you guys caught me. I can't believe that I didn't know this. I just Googled red dye clothes, and I came up with a recipe that sounded like it was kind of this old style, and I went with it. Wow. And that is how you dye clothes red, or one of the ways you could dye clothes red in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So he says, here's a series of tweets about it. LOL, this is actually kind of hilarious. I'm totally willing to own it. Something tells me I'll be telling this story many years to come. And then it says, in response to somebody saying, are you going to leave it like this? Or are you going to make some amendments and change it? He says, yeah, I'll leave it as it is. I actually think it's quite funny. And you're totally right. I don't remember, but I just Googled it. Hey, sometimes you got to throw your hands up in the air and say, yep, my bad. And then he talks about he should probably credit The Legend of Zelda in the credits of the book.
Wow. I love this for many reasons. First of all, it's the equivalent of like when I was in high school.
Yeah.
If Wikipedia had existed, I would have been doing research on Wikipedia, like, oh yeah, the War of 1812 totally took place in 1973. I've got a source right here. And I mean, I just love that he did a Google search. I mean, granted, because, right, how are you, if you don't know all the things, right, maybe let's say you know, I don't know, 70% of what you're writing about, and you need to fill in other historical stuff. You've got to do some research. But I just, you would think it's if you would, I don't know, if you're going to write a book and you're passing it off as history, nonfiction, you would think that you would maybe double check a few sources for things you don't know.
It's great.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Also, I love the idea that I don't know why, but okay, come with me here on a journey, Matthew.
Oh boy.
We're in Vermont. It's snowy. You're in a cabin. You have no internet. You're an intellectual who maybe is a tenured professor at Dartmouth or something like that. And you're on Christmas holiday, and you're sitting down with a book from the guy that wrote The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, Mr. Sleepy Time, whatever his name is, Boyan something.
Yes.
And you start reading this book, and you're reading through words like Hylian shrooms, an Octorok, and you have no idea. You're like, yes, very true.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. And you're going to take that as historical fact because this is a nonfiction book by an author who's supposedly well respected and does his background history and all his work. I just love the fact that there's going to be people who are going to be duped by this and have no clue that they're reading something from a recipe from Breath of the Wild. I like that. Just it tickles my funny bone. It makes me
absolutely laugh. That's awesome.
Not that there's anything wrong if you're an intellectual professor from Dartmouth
on
Christmas holiday reading a book by Sleepy Time author Mr. Boy in Striped Pajamas dude. Not a problem with that. Listen, those are our super friends too.
Yes, always.
Wow. Well, I have something from an author. I would say that this author maybe is a little more well-known. I at least know this author I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's more well-known maybe in our circles.
Sure.
Really, how big is that Boy in the Striped Pajamas book?
It got made into a movie, like a big movie.
Who was in that movie?
I don't know. I never saw it.
Okay, so not that big of a movie.
Apparently not.
George R.R. Martin, the man who has written the Song of Ice and Fire books. Most people are going to know it as the Game of Thrones books. A year ago, okay, so let's back up a bit. The last book, A Dance with Dragons, came out in 2012. 8 years ago. 2011? 9 years ago now? Ooh, maybe it's 2011.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back. I think maybe it's 2011. Anyway, he notoriously writes everything on this old computer he has that runs DOS, and he gets questioned a lot. When is the next book coming out? Because it's called A Dream of Spring, or The Winds of Winter, and then Dream of Spring is going to be the 7th book. And everyone's like, okay, blah, 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 when's it going to be? Over a year ago, he said, he said, listen, he said, if I don't have The Winds of Winter in my hand when I arrive in New Zealand for Worldcon, you have here my formal written permission to imprison me in a small cabin on White Island overlooking that lake of sulfuric acid until I'm done. And I remember we laughed about it because I was like, he's literally giving fans permission to imprison him until he finishes this book.
Yeah.
And you could tell that, like, he meant it. Like, he was like, listen, I know, trust me, I want to get this done as well.
Yeah.
Worldcon is in New Zealand. It happened 5 days ago.
Oh, so he finished it, surely.
You would think.
Of course not.
You would think. He was supposed to act as Toastmaster. He was supposed to go to Worldcon, but here's the thing. Worldcon, like Comic-Con, got changed to a virtual-only attendance so that George R.R. Martin actually wouldn't be arriving in New Zealand because of the whole global pandemic. So now George R.R. Martin is, saying like, hey, sorry couldn't be there. We have to socially distance in our own castle, but still as one, united in our love of fantasy and science fiction. Here's the thing I want to ask, Matt. George R.R. Martin is going to get off technically on a technicality.
Yep.
Because he did not arrive in New Zealand, because he didn't go to New Zealand.
Right.
And second of all, if he knew and had the foresight to know I won't actually be arriving, so therefore I can make this wild and outlandish claim, because he understood that a worldwide pandemic was going to grip us, I'm going to say that he's a witch or a warlock. We need to burn him at the stake. I'm just saying, either way, why didn't he let us know about what was going to happen? We could have been in on that, insider information.
That's interesting. I wouldn't want to know. If they're
I would.
P.S. 2020 is going to suck.
Okay,
I'd be like, nope, I don't want to know. I don't want to know about the pandemic. Just when it happens, it happens.
So if a time traveler could have come back from like now, or like maybe a year from now when all this is done and vaccines or whatever,
yeah,
and could have came back to the November of 2019 and said, listen, there's about to be a virus that's going to be unleashed on the world. It's going to go everywhere. It's going to kill people. It's going to cause economic shutdowns, blah, blah, blah. A, you wouldn't want to know that so you could protect yourself. B, so you could go get your vacation to Disney World in before all this happened. And C, stock up on toilet paper like all the crazy people did back in March.
No.
Oh, man.
I'm one of those people who doesn't want to know about the future at all. I don't want to know. If myself came back 10 years from now, he's like, do you want to know? No, I don't want to know.
I mean, I wouldn't want to know like if I died or when that happened or...
I don't want to know anything.
If I could have some foreknowledge, I could be like, oh, wait, the market's going to crash. How much money do I need to invest in some of these Amazon
It never
satellites?
works out like that, though. That's one of the rules of time travel.
I'm telling you, Matt, though. I would have liked to have known. I'm just saying, George R. R. Martin could be a witch.
He could be. Let's kill him.
Well, but you know what?
Or finish the book.
Maybe before
Come
we kill
on.
him, maybe before we burn him at the stake, we should toss him in some water and see if he floats.
Okay, good idea.
Because if he floats, then we know he's made of wood, then we know he's a witch, and we can burn him at the stake.
That makes perfect sense. I love it.
Monty
the
Python
logic
logic
of
for
Monty.
the win.
It's great logic.
It
From a
works.
British comedy.
Every time. That's the last thing I had for Rebel Intelligence.
Yeah, I'm out.
Okay. So last week we talked about the virtual Comic-Con. You know, the thing that George R. R. Martin probably knew about because he's a witch. And we asked the Super Friends, what was something that you saw at Comic-Con that you were really excited about? Because we knew that we didn't catch all of it.
Right.
We also talked about how the fact we kind of almost forgot about it because of all the things that were going on. So,
Yes.
let's hear from the Super Friends. Let's jump over to email where we always start, fortofnerd@gmail.com. And we have Peter Christensen. Dear Nerds, this week I watched John Adams, the HBO miniseries. Yes, Hamilton has me on an early American history kick. It is just about as stylistically opposite of Hamilton as possible. Slow-paced, 9 hours long across 7 episodes, detailed, no music, as white as American history actually was. It has extremely high production quality, as you would expect from HBO, and is full of top-notch character actors. One thing I wasn't expecting was that it may be the best portrayal I've seen of the phases of a lifetime. Episode 1 starts with him roughly my phase of life, with young kids and teenagers. By the way, Peter Christensen just turned 40. Happy birthday, Peter Christensen.
Yay!
That's not an email, but I saw it on Facebook, sorry. All right, back to his email. It says, young kids, teenagers, trying to establish his career. He continues to advance his career, be separated from his family by work, get the job he always wanted, find out it wasn't what he wanted, deal with irrelevance in retirement, and then dealing with the world changing completely around him as he grows old and all his friends and family die off. As a newly minted 40-year-old, oh no, he does mention it. Happy birthday once again. As a newly minted 40-year-old, I found it to be a useful look at what the next 50 years of life might be like. There's a lot about John Adams to admire, and a lot of cautionary tales. Plus, Alexander Hamilton was played by my boy Rufus Sewell of Knight's Tale and Man in the High Castle fame. I'm personally hurt that you didn't call me out as someone looking forward to the Avatar sequels. I think you'll be surprised, both by the demand, rekindled by the Flight of Passage ride at the Animal Kingdom, and the visual technical achievements of the new films. I'm for sure an underwater dork, but James Cameron is at the forefront of underwater technology, both in real life and in movies. Aquaman was a fun simulated underwater experience, but I've read a little bit about how Avatar 2 is breaking new ground in underwater motion capture. I have high expectations for at least a jaw-dropping movie. Hopefully they hired some Pixar/MCU veterans, writers to breathe some life into the story. I don't want to watch Bill and Ted 3 trailers. I just want to go in cold and enjoy the excellent movie from my couch when it comes out. I loved playing Mega Man as a kid, but until seeing this February when Sonic came out, I would have put 0% hope of a movie version. There's been a revival of smarter kid movies that are enjoyable for adults, which began with Toy Story, but spread beyond Pixar, starting with Tangled. Recent movies like Ferdinand, Jumanji, The Lego Movie, and Sonic give me cautious hope for a Mega Man movie. I used to be slightly interested in Comic-Con, but only for the trailers. Nothing is coming out this year, so there were no new trailers, so I didn't even know it had passed until I listened to your episode. I think I've said this before, but there's so much good stuff to watch that I don't need to get hyped about stuff coming out in a year or two. Cheers, Peter Christensen.
Nice. Thanks, Peter.
There's something I want to say to Peter Christensen, but I think I'm just going to wait till a little bit later in this episode.
Okay.
But I appreciate your email, Peter, and once again, congratulations and happy birthday, my friend. Let's go over to Facebook. We have Daniel Walker. He says, I'm so looking forward to Bill and Ted 3. And so are we. That was facebook.com/FordofNerd. Going over to Twitter at FordofNerd, Bernabe Butters at Dantes_Belmont says, sadly, missed it all. Which is kind of what we heard from some of the other Super Friends. I really think that this year's
Look, everyone's
Comic-Con.
throwing in the towel for the year. Okay,
Yeah,
everyone's just saying,
know.
F it, let's just let it be the next year. Like, I don't even know what's going to happen, but good grief.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, like, looking back, it was like, they should have just canceled altogether.
Yeah, just can't, anyway.
I think there was, unfortunately, not to go back and delve too much back into last episode, but there was just too many things that they should have just avoided and just said, you know what, we're going to put it on pause like everything else in the world and go on to next year.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it, Super Friends. Thank you so much for your answers and the interaction. We do appreciate it. Week to week, it is one of our favorite parts of the podcast is hanging out and talking with you. Matt, how can the Super Friends help us this week?
Well, as you always do, please listen, like, comment, subscribe, answer the question of the week. We love hearing from you. Thank you for always being so great, supportive, and upbeat. And this week, a little something extra. Watch a Danny DeVito movie. I just feel like he can kind of cure you if you're feeling a little bit frustrated and sad. Just pick a movie that Danny's in, and I think you'll happy. You'll be a happy boy.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Interesting call there.
Also, one more plug. Muppets Now.
Oh, yeah.
The first episode just got put up on Disney Plus on Friday, and I haven't smiled for 22 minutes straight that much in a long time. So if you love the Muppets, you'll love it. If you don't, you probably will hate it.
I actually really loved it. We watched it with the kids.
Oh, it was so good.
I have one complaint.
Kermit's voice?
Yes!
Yeah, it's awful.
Matt! It's like you read my... And also, this is coming from someone who does Kermit's voice, because I do a Kermit impersonation. This is Kermit, okay? I'm going to give you a little bit of Kermit. Kermit the Frog here. Miss Piggy. That's kind of Kermit.
Yeah.
Kind of the tones are kind of like up here. And for some reason it was like, Miss Piggy. Like, yeah,
it was weird.
It felt like it was almost like a full octave lower than normal, and I kind of went, like, tonally it's there, but like, it just sounded too low. Like the register,
it was distracting.
Like, dropped. It was, and I kept sitting there going, like, I kept thinking like he would talk, and then in my head I'm doing the voice so I can hear it how I know it's kind of supposed to sound, or a close approximation. Yeah. And I was like, every other voice, like Piggy was really good. I thought Gonzo was great. I thought Fozzie was really good. The Swedish Chef was a little off. But
I think he was different because we're seeing him in 4K for the first time, like HD,
Maybe.
Where you're like, oh, that is clearly a very pale Swedish man with very chubby white hands, like human hands. But he looked different. But I attributed to the fact that we were seeing him in HD, and it's just weird.
But Piggy, I was like, yes,
that segment was great. That whole thing was great. So watch it.
So
That's
good.
Watch that and Danny DeVito, and your week it can't be bad.
Watch Muppets Now, please. It's on Disney Plus, and I promise you won't be dissatisfied. Yay! Okay, I wasn't even planning on doing that, Matt.
That's all, folks. Let's move on.
I wasn't even planning on pulling the voice out, but you brought it up. I was like, yes. I don't know. Anyway.
How do we forget about that?
How did we forget about that? I love the Muppets. Matt, I also did something else I forgot to tell you about.
Okay.
Last night, I put on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure with the boys and Brita, and we watched the whole dang thing.
Wow.
And I was a little worried because I was like, it is PG, It was 1989.
Okay.
But I was like, I remember a few things in there that aren't going to... Thankfully, let's just put it this way. The things I was worried about went over the kids' heads. The only thing that got me... There was two things that got me really, really, really nervous. One is that anytime Napoleon speaks, they put subtitles, and Charlie was reading it, and he was reading all of it, and they get to the bowling scene where he goes to throw the ball, and he starts going, and it says the S word over and over and over again. And Charlie had ran up into the kitchen for something. He's like, Dad, what's it say? I said, it says, shoot, 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 shoot,
nice.
Shoot. And he goes, oh, okay. Missed it. And I was like, whew, okay. And then the other part is there is this scene where Bill and Ted do a quick hug, and then they pull back from each other, and they use a very, very derogatory term for homosexual people.
Yes.
It's a term that, like, at that time, like, I'm going to be completely honest because I have to own this. This is a term that I used when I was, like, a kid. It was a term that was a lot more prevalent at that time, and that people didn't look at it as being, like... maybe people didn't look at it and understand, like, how hurtful that term could be. And so, like, I know every line to this thing, and, like, it came up, and I was like, and as the scene started kind of developing, I went, and, like, I had this kind of, like, this moment, and Brita kind of looked at me at the same time, and I was like, the kids aren't going to get it. Like, that's just going to go right over their heads. Which is great, because I didn't want to have a conversation about that, because Charlie's 7 and Jackson's 6. But they thought it was a pretty funny movie, and then today for quiet time, it was Charlie's turn to pick, and then Jackson comes down and says, Dad, I don't want to watch Bill and Ted again. And I went, hold on. And I ran upstairs. It's like, buddy, this is a family movie. You gotta watch it, because I'm just worried that, like, he's gonna read the part he couldn't quite see, and then, you know.
Hey, everyone's got to learn the swear words at some point.
I know.
And it may be age 7 in about an hour for you. Who knows?
The problem was he used that word one time at daycare and got in big trouble. And so he's heard that word before, and he knows it's a swear word. And he's never used it since. But I don't want him to read it like 13 times in a row.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, but you know me. I love, and I mean love with a capital Love, love time travel movies, time travel stories. You mentioned the whole Back to the Future's 35th anniversary.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking time travel stuff. And I think, Matt, I got a question for you. I got a scenario.
Okay.
A DeLorean has just arrived at your doorstep. It's got Mr. Fusion in the background. It's got the flux capacitor. If you get in that thing and you hop and you go 88 miles per hour, you're going to generate with the plutonium the 1.21 gigawatts you need to go back in time. What 3 movies, if you go back in time, would you stop from being made? And you can go one, and then I can go one, whatever. But
Okay.
So
now
we're time travel. So even better, you and I are together in this DeLorean. Okay,
we're going to 6 different time periods.
That's right.
Probably, unless we ever chose the same one, which I doubt.
I doubt. But you and I, we're going to bounce around the time streams some. You're behind the wheel. Where are we going first? What movie are you and I going to stop from being made?
It's really, 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 really incredibly difficult. I have 6, so right now I'm trying to mentally narrow it down. And 3 of them are trilogies or more. All right, but the first one that I know for sure that I'm going to stop from being made is Spider-Man 3.
Oh, good call.
We're going back to the mid-2000s, and we're going, look, you've got a great thing going. You've got a really great thing going. Don't F this up. And then we just, like, cancel it. We're like, we're done. It's ending with Spider-Man 2, the best Spider-Man movie. We're just killing it there. Game over. That's the movie, one of the movies that first came to my mind when you mentioned this, when we talked about it, was, gosh, I would go back and just kill Spider-Man 3. If that thing never existed, the world would be a better place.
Yeah. it was so sad because the first Spider-Man movie was good, and the second movie was even better, and I had such high hopes for the third. I was like, upward trajectory. Like,
it's midnight showing type crap for me.
Yeah,
in high school, I was like, I am in.
I mean, I wasn't in high school, but yes, it was midnight showing.
Midnight showing
as well.
stuff.
Yes,
because you can't get seats in advance. You got to show up early and all that stuff. Oh, what a disappointment!
And it was Sandman, and they'd shoehorned in their Venom, and they shoehorned in the Hobgoblin. It was just like
so bad.
Is this a like? Honestly, that for me, the dance scene was horrible.
Obviously.
I mean, Avi, the dance scene, terrible. I mean, blah. But then it, for me, was we're trying to do 3 villains in a single film. And that was the point for me with superhero movies where I went, okay, stop trying to do too much.
Yeah.
Stop trying to do too much. Let's just focus this down one at a time.
Yep.
And honestly, it nearly killed the Spider-Man. I mean, it really did kill the Tobey Maguire
did for
movies.
A long time.
There was going to be no more Tobey Maguire stuff because Spider-Man 3 was so bad. Good call, Matt. Good call.
Yep.
All right, well, you and I are in the old DeLorean. The flux capacitor is fluxing to capacity. And we're going back... to the year about, what's that? 2008.
Okay.
And we're going to go and we're going to get in front of Steven Spielberg and we're going to convince him not to make Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yes.
This movie was horrible.
Yeah.
Honestly, The Last Crusade was a great, great movie to go out on. It ended really, really well. But coming back to this one and trying to shoehorn in Indy and Marion having a kid, even though Indy hasn't seen Marion since the first movie of the franchise.
Right.
And now you're going to bring back Marion and you're going to try to shoehorn a kid in. And you're going to try to I don't know, all the stuff with the Soviets and trying to, I don't know, gosh, the whole nuclear test sites and the whole jump in the refrigerator, blah, blah, blah. We're going to nuke the
It's bad.
It's just bad. It wasn't good. Oh, gosh. People were so excited to see something new with Indiana Jones, but I just felt like Harrison Ford was too old to be playing Indiana Jones. They should have either decided to either pass the torch to the Mutt character of Shia LaBeouf and make him the new Indy, and done it early and just kind of establish that, kind of like Star Trek Generations did, where they kind of passed off the baton between Kirk and Picard in the movie verse. They should have either done that or they should just not have made this movie altogether.
Yep.
No one wants to see Harrison Ford running around still pretending like he's in his 40s when obviously he's in his 70s at this point.
Yes.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's bad. It's bad.
I'll tell you a secret. I've only seen half of it. It was so bad I turned it off.
Don't watch the other half.
I haven't, and I won't.
Because aliens somehow get involved.
I know. Oh my gosh, I know. I know. So bad. All right. So hopping back in.
Yeah.
We're going to go way back to 1980. That's not way back, but that's back.
Okay, now I'm getting a little scared.
We're going back to 1980. And I'm going to put a slash here on this one because it's 2 different movie franchises, but the same reasoning behind why I want them never to have been made. But I'm going to go with the movie and the series Friday the 13th.
Okay.
I wish those had never been made.
Yeah, me too.
And the
probably for different reasons.
The biggest part of why I wish Friday the 13th had never been made was because at, probably 6 years old, it was the Jason mask. Some creep across the street was staring me down on Halloween, doing the blood pump, with his hand. He had a blood pump and the blood would go down his mask. And he is the reason I was scared of Halloween for probably 15 years. Was that person terrorizing. Thanks a lot, jerk. Way to ruin a 6-year-old's joy.
Yeah.
So that one, and then I'm going to do a slash Child's Play. Never. Chucky should never have
Chucky.
existed. Those are two things that I can't handle. Jason and Chucky, get out, go away. We're killing them both.
Funny enough, Breeda and I watched Ready Player One this weekend again, and that scene where like Chucky shows up, and then he's like, toss him out, and he throws him out, and Chucky starts killing all the Sixers. I actually thought that was really funny, but I did watch Ready Player One because we talked previously in episode 2 back about Ready Player 2.
Yeah.
And Breeda and I both agreed we want to re-listen to the audiobook of Ready Player One prior to that. But anyway, it made me think of the Chucky thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that even in that movie, like I saw it. Gosh, I was maybe like 9, 10 when I saw Child's Play at a friend's house. I was at Andy Barnes' house in his front room where they had the TV, and I remember watching that movie. That movie scared the crap out of me as a kid. I don't think I've watched it since. I'm sure if I watched it now, like I would look at it and think it looks ridiculously
I don't know,
silly.
man.
But
You need to give Chucky the respect he deserves or he'll kill you. I am terrified of Chucky. A hard pass. Like, I'm scared right now. I'm not sleeping tonight. Thanks a lot.
Matt, if I can go back, if I'm with you here, not only will I help you stop Friday the 13th and Chucky, I will try to stop Nightmare on Elm Street. I will help Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I will help you try to stop all of those movies from ever being made, and just see if we can wipe horror off of the category altogether.
Nope. You gotta let Halloween live. Halloween is fantastic. Can't kill Halloween. And Nightmare is whatever. I don't really care about Nightmare on Elm Street. Anyway, moving on.
All right, so we're back in the DeLorean. I'm not going all that far back. I'm going back only 4 years this time.
4 years. Uh-oh. I'm wondering. Okay.
Take a guess. Do you want to take a guess?
No, because my third movie has not yet been done.
Suicide Squad.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
It's
so bad.
I've talked about it on the podcast. I think to death. It had a banging trailer. The movie came out and it was horrible. Just horrible. I mean, it had listen to this cast. Will Smith, Jared Leto, Margot Robbie, Joel Kinnaman, Viola Davis, Jay Courtney, Jay Hernandez, Cara Delevingne. I mean, just it had all these big actors and actresses, and it was this horrible story about these villains that were all supposed to be going on this I don't know, kind of this raid. They were supposed to be kind of doing this Black Ops mission for Amanda Waller, and she's planted bombs in their things. They're gonna kill we had probably one of the worst depictions of the Joker ever.
Oh my gosh. Has to be the worst.
I hate Jared Leto's version of the Joker. And it's not that necessarily I hate Jared Leto, but I just hate the writing, and I hate what they did, and I hate the fact that they made him look like some weird tatted up Joker.
Yeah, weird. I'm not in.
This movie had, in the end, 2 things going for it. It had a banging trailer, and then it had Margot Robbie, who just chewed up the scenery as Harley Quinn. But even though that Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie was amazing in this, I would go back and stop this movie from ever being made and say, look, DC, you are struggling behind Marvel. We want you to put out good quality content. Stick to the Holy Trinity. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Go nowhere else until you can get those 3 correct and do it right. Then expand. Marvel didn't start off with Ant-Man. Come on. Marvel didn't start off with the Avengers. Yeah. They started at the beginning. They built and they worked their I would go back and I would smack Jeff Johns around and I would say, do not do this. Do not let David Ayer get near this. Do not let this be written. Do not just stop. Do the right thing. Eventually you can try this experiment, but just no.
Yep.
Niet. No.
I love it. I could not agree more. That movie was bad.
Yep.
But to me, not as bad as The Next Stop, which is just within moments of each other, it feels like.
Okay.
Hello, DC. Goodbye, Batman versus Superman.
Oh, yes.
That movie is trash. That movie is hot freaking garbage. I thought The Incredible Hulk was the worst superhero movie that I'd ever seen until I saw Batman vs. Superman, and I went, this movie sucks so bad.
Fantastic Four, that was pretty bad too.
Okay, Fantastic Four was pretty bad, but I didn't see the new one, and the old one had Jessica Alba, and at the time, I was kind of into her, so it didn't bother me much.
Okay, fair enough.
But Batman vs. Superman is, to this date, the worst movie that my wife, Jessie, has ever seen. And it is probably in the top 3 worst movies I've ever seen. And to me, it hurts because I love Batman. I love Batman. Give me Batman, all the Batman. But I don't love Batman in this movie. I don't love Ben Affleck Batman. I don't love the way he looks. I don't love the way that Ben Affleck plays him. I don't like the way he's written. And Superman, I'm like, okay, let's see what this is going to be. This sounds like an interesting premise. It's terrible. Everything's terrible. It's so poorly executed. Wonder Woman's in it for a little while, and you're like, that's cool, but I don't know much about her. What's the point? It is one of the, I still think it's one of the worst movies ever made.
The only good thing that came out of that was Wonder Woman, and the fact we got a Wonder Woman movie.
Gosh. And that's anyway. So that's my third one.
I'm with you, Matt. You and I are taking that thing down together, hardcore.
Yes, we are dismantling DC.
Hardcore. Okay, my last movie that I would stop from being made. This is going to be a hot take. Peter Christensen.
Oh gosh, I almost went there too. I almost went there.
You may want to plug your ears. Avatar. I am going to get a hold of James Cameron and say, James, you have done some amazing films. And technologically, you do some amazing things.
Yeah.
But this idea is literally just a vehicle to show off your technical prowess. It is not a good story. You're going to waste everyone's time. It's going to be laughed at by how thin the story is. Come up with something better. Do something different. Use the technology you have inside of your brain that you wanted to see on film for something that people actually care about. Yeah. I know people are going to say, well, we got the Kingdom at, Animal Kingdom, that whole ride, flight of passage.
Concords.
I almost said Flight of the Navigator. That's because, yeah.
Anyway.
I don't need 4 more sequels to this movie.
Yeah.
The story was not good enough. Why would you make 4 sequels based on just the technology? I wish I could go back and just say, I get it. You want to show the world something they've never seen before. But here's the deal. Why didn't you do that while telling the world a story that's groundbreaking, or that you could help change public opinion on something, or you could help shape society to go in a positive direction instead of this Fern Gully ripoff crap that I do not care about.
No.
I'm sorry, Peter, and any other super friend that really loves Avatar that may be clamoring for these 4 sequels that have now been pushed back further and further and further again.
Yep.
If I got a time machine and I'm in charge of it, and Matt's my ride or die in the passenger seat, I'm getting a hold of James Cameron and we're making him stop this junk before it happens. And we're going to get something better, a Terminator movie that actually makes sense after Terminator 2. Something.
I'm glad that on all 6 we are in agreement. There's no, the passenger wouldn't be trying to change the year.
Right.
We would be like, yeah, I'm in. Let's go guns a-blazing and destroy these movies, because I'm all in on Avatar.
Yeah.
That one is the hot take.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to think, what's a big movie that everybody loves that I just don't get?
That's it for
enough
me.
to hate.
Yeah.
Enough to hate. There were some that I don't get, any Christopher Nolan movie, pretty much. I'm I don't get it,
sure.
But I get it, that it's entertaining and cool. But anyway, I'm
all
in,
right.
man.
Matt, we have arrived back in the present. We're
Yes.
jumping out of the DeLorean because we gotta let it cool down a little bit. It's got kind of that frosty overlook. But now we're gonna hop in the phone box from Bill and Ted's.
Yes.
And this time, here's the deal, Matt. I've got this idea. We are going to round up actors and actresses from today and go back through the strands of time and back into history and recast an older movie with current actors.
Love. I had so much fun with this.
Good. Me too.
Oh, man.
So first of all, you'll go first. Name your movie.
Okay.
And then you can name the roles and then who you're casting as the roles.
So I want to start with a disclaimer. For me, this is not a movie I wish was cast differently.
Okay.
For me, that's not what this is. This is a movie I love that was cast perfectly, that if I had to cast it again, this is how I would cast it.
Right. Yes. It's a movie you love, and at the
Yes.
time it was cast perfectly, but...
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
But now, if we were making this movie now, who
And you
would
can't
you be
use
casting now? Yeah, you can't use
Can't use them.
Gotcha.
They're too old, or they're dead.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
Most of them are just too old. Some of them are dead in mine. But
Okay.
most of them are just too old.
So
All right,
what is
so
your
here we
movie?
go. My movie is The Princess Bride.
Ooh. William
What a
Golding's
great
Princess
cast
Bride.
movie.
Okay, yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so
gosh.
for me, there were some easy ones, and then it got hard. But anyway, so Wesley is Ryan Gosling.
Okay, yeah.
I've got Buttercup, Blake Lively.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I see where you're going.
Because Blake Lively to me is like really pretty, but she's not like the best actress I've ever seen in a movie, which is pretty much Buttercup. She's just kind of there, kind of like straight face.
Although, Robin Wright did become an amazing actress later in her career.
Right.
When she played Buttercup, I think that was like her first acting role.
It was just kind of like, whatever.
She was there.
Blake Lively could do that, and she might even do it better. But kind of the charm of Buttercup is she was kind of straight faced. Like,
Yeah.
Anyway, going on, Inigo Montoya. Okay, this one I went all over the place with. And I know that you haven't seen too many episodes of this show, but I'm going with James Roday Rodriguez, who is Sean Spencer from Psych. If you know Psych, the guy he could do the accent, the movements, the comedy, both the physical comedy and the witty comedy. He can do it.
Okay.
To me, that's a beautiful cast. I almost went with a long-haired Chris Pratt on this, but I backed off because I can also see Chris Pratt doing silly accents as well.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Moving on, we've got Vizzini. We're going in a different direction.
Please tell me Danny DeVito.
No. I wanted to go... Anyway, a bunch of different directions here. I almost went with Rick Moranis since he's back into acting, but I went off of that and went with Kevin Hart.
Oh, that's funny. Yes.
Right? Can't you see that being hilarious?
Yeah, especially because the whole scene where he's like, you would think that I would do this, but I would know that you would think that I would do this, so I would really do this. And I could
Kevin Hart would kill it.
Kevin Hart would kill that scene.
Yes. Just wait. Wait till you see who Fezzik is.
Okay.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Kevin Hart and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Because they're good friends and they mess around. And
that would be...
And Kevin Hart would be giving The Rock a bunch of crap, like Fezzik got.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Yep.
So then I'm gonna jump to the grandson, who never really gets a name, played by Fred Savage back in the day. I'm going with you may not recognize the name, but Julian Dennison. He is the kid from Hunt for the Wilder People, the New Zealand kid, and from Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Have you seen either of those movies?
I've seen Deadpool 2.
He's the kid from Deadpool 2.
I said Deadpool Tool. That's a throwback, Stu and I, because I kept not saying Deadpool 2, but I kept saying Deadpool Tool. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, anyway, for those that are out there, he's a hilarious comedian with a boyish look. He would be awesome in that role. And then Prince Humperdinck. Now, this one I had to go, okay, who has the most punchable face? Who do I hate most in Hollywood right now? It always has been and always will be Jason Sudeikis, or however you say his name.
Jason Sudeikis?
Yes.
Okay.
He could play that role beautifully. I think to me, in real life and in the roles he plays, he comes across as an entitled jerk. And so that's pretty much what Prince Humperdinck is.
Yeah.
So I thought he would play that role really, really well. And then the last one I did was Miracle Max.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, even now, Billy Crystal could do it.
Sure.
And he could kill it. But I'm going to go with a good friend of Billy Crystal's, who's about the same age. And I'm going to go with Steve Martin playing Miracle Max.
Okay. Yeah, it would be a different kind of energy, but yes, it would still be
very
like
different
zany,
energy.
Instead of more like crazy maniacal, it'd be more like zany, wacky energy. I like that though.
Yep.
Oh, Matt, you are bringing the heat. I like it.
So that's the Princess Bride.
Princess Bride as
if we could bring them all in a car.
Yeah.
Or all in the phone box with us.
In the phone booth. Yeah. Okay. My movie, I went back to 1939, The Wizard of Oz.
Okay, I thought you were going to choose something I ain't never heard of before.
The Wizard of Oz is a classic movie that everyone has seen because it would always appear once a year back in the day before VHS players and before all that. So, The Wizard of Oz. Okay. As Dorothy, the quintessential, title character or the lead character, you need someone who can play sweet, who can play honest, who has a girlish look about her, but I think can kill anything she's in. I'm casting Alison Brie as
that's
Dorothy.
Perfect.
Yes.
Oh, she looks just like her too, actually.
I mean, very, very close, right? Very close to Judy Garland, but she could play an amazing, amazing Dorothy.
Yes, good.
As the Scarecrow, you need someone who's got some personality, someone who can sing, someone who can dance, someone who can be really, really funny, intentionally or even unintentionally. So for my Scarecrow, I'm casting Will Smith as the Scarecrow.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
I get the intentionally and unintentionally with Will Smith. I get that.
He can sing, he can dance. He's super relatable, which like the Scarecrow is kind of like, Dorothy's kind of like right-hand man. He always
was kind of my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's kind of meant to be that way. Okay, this one I had another actor in mind, but for the Tin Man, I decided to go with Ewan McGregor.
Oh.
Because I think Ewan McGregor would be fun to watch play stiff and then kind of like loosen up, but just kind of play it without the heart. And like, at the end when the Tin Man gets a heart and you can see like him let him, he's like, oh joy, oh rapture, now I know what love is, or now I know what a heart is because it's breaking. Like I can just see Ewan McGregor doing that and just like a tear rolling down my cheek watching him play that part.
Right. Yes, Ewan McGregor, great choice.
All right, as the Cowardly Lion, Paul Rudd.
That's good.
Because Paul Rudd can be funny like the Cowardly Lion, but he also can play that kind of like, don't beat me up, leave me alone. I'm just trying to do my thing over here. And it would be a little meta, a little narcissistic maybe for the Cowardly Lion. I think Paul Rudd would be a great.
Yeah, that's funny, dude. That would be funny.
Cowardly Lion. Okay, as the Great Oz.
Yes.
Tom Hanks.
Oh, beautiful.
I think Tom Hanks would be
That's beautiful.
Perfect as Oz.
Oh, yeah. That is great.
The Wicked Witch was one I struggled with because I had a number of actresses that I thought really could play it. And I feel like the one I went with is almost typecasting in a way.
Okay.
But I think she is actually perfect. Helena Bonham Carter for the Wicked Witch of the West.
She is perfect.
She's perfect for it. The only thing is like because she played Bellatrix Lestrange, she's already played a witch. I kind of went like, is that too on the nose? But if I can take a current actor or actress,
dude, that's good though.
I'm having her do that. Okay, for the Munchkins, I have one actor. He's going to play all of the Munchkins, and it's going to be Peter Dinklage. And I only say that because
I thought you were going to say Warwick Davis.
No,
but that's even better.
No, it's Peter Dinklage because Peter Dinklage is an amazing actor who just happens to
he
be
is.
vertically challenged, and who doesn't love Tyrion Lannister? I mean, I would love to see him, doing all the Munchkin parts. Okay.
Oh, man.
Okay, for the last one, Glinda, the Good Witch of the North.
Oh, yeah.
Drew Barrymore.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
She is like hope and love personified. How could you not love Glinda? Now, the flip side of this is that, like, this is all like the Oz characters, but like if you go back into the Kansas part, right, Dorothy's still Dorothy, but the Scarecrow, Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion are all the farmhands, so you get to see Will Smith, Ewan McGregor, and Paul Rudd as the farmhands at the very beginning and then at the very tail end.
Yeah.
And the Great Oz also plays what's his name? The professor. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name. The traveling professor who's in like the little stagecoach who reads fortunes and whatnot.
Right.
So you get to see Tom Hanks there. The Wicked Witch, Helena Bonham Carter's actually the neighbor, going after Toto, and then the Munchkins and Glinda you don't see. And I didn't cast Toto because a dog's a dog. So I would go with the Wizard of Oz. Alison Brie is Dorothy, awesome. And I think from there, just like that's a movie that like I don't think they ever need to remake. I'm with you, like. They never, ever need to remake that movie. That movie is perfect.
Yep.
But if they were going to do it, that's who I would recast that movie. And don't get me wrong, like, I think that's a killer cast for those roles. And there was a lot, Matt, like, I almost put Brad Pitt in as like the Tin Man. Like I was like, oh, he could play. I'm like, I don't know.
I like Ewan McGregor.
I like Ewan McGregor better, but there was a lot of different people that I went like, oh, okay, who could play this? But then like the Scarecrow, I could have cast a number of people as the Scarecrow.
Oh yeah,
I felt.
I agree.
But for some reason there was a few that I thought like no, like my Dorothy, Alison Brie. I was like, I know that they could cast a lot of people, but for some reason in my mind, the Annie Edison version of Alison Brie is like, that's Dorothy. Like, it's just Dorothy.
Yep.
And then Drew Barrymore as Glinda, I was just like, okay, no. And then Paul Rudd as the Cowardly Lion. Like, those were the three that I was like, no, there's no one else that could do this now.
Right.
If we were doing this now, like, there's no one else.
That's awesome. I love it, dude.
Okay. So we've gone back. We've recast these movies. We've come back. We're going to jump back in, Matt. We're going to jump back in the DeLorean one more time. Because now we either are going to go back into the past to correct something, bring someone from the past to present time, or take someone from present time back into the past to try to fix something in nerd and pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that when we talked about this, I kind of came up with the idea of like when I was kind of pitching the idea, I said, like, maybe I'd go back in time and I'd stop Christopher Reeve from falling off his horse and being trampled and becoming a quadriplegic.
Right.
But as like I thought about that, because like, he'd already done 4 Superman movies and it'd be nice to see him in the role. And obviously it dramatically changed his life, but he became this like outspoken advocate for all sorts of charities and whatnot. So he did a lot of good with what remained of his life, which was like another 10 years or so. But I started thinking like, actually, like that would be like an individual. That's like a person, but like something in nerd and pop culture that would, I think, have a little more general, broader appeal. And so that's kind of where I went. But that was kind of the whole pitch, right, to this part of the idea. So you're driving. Are you taking someone from the present into the past, or something from the past into the present? What are we doing?
We're kidnapping.
Ooh.
We are kidnapping. And this one was tough because I came up with a couple ideas because this was much more loosely defined. We were kind of like, whatever you want to do with the time thing as it pertains to nerd and pop culture. So what I would do is we'd go back to the mid-90s.
Okay.
And we would grab Harold Ramis. Oh. And we would bring him here. And we would say, please write, direct, and act in the new Ghostbusters film.
You're going after my heart, Matt.
Or am I? I mean, I was just like, my body, my spirit wants it so bad. And Ghostbusters, for all of us, for you especially, for me, for most people listening, is such a special movie. And for me, it's synonymous with my childhood. Both of them, the first one and the second one, I love them both. I know some people don't like the second one as much. I don't really care. I love them both. And it hurt when he passed, because we always had rumors. There was always rumblings of, we're going to get new Ghostbusters. We're going to get more in some fashion and form. And when he passed, it felt like that was never going to happen. And now we're getting it, but he's not involved, obviously, because he's passed. And so I think it would be fun to go back to like the mid 90s when he's rejuvenated and ready to go. Pull him to the future, pull him here. Actually pull him to 2016 and stop the female reboot. No, I shouldn't call it. It's just not a great movie.
Yeah.
Not that it was girls, just not a great movie.
Yeah.
And have him do this Ghostbusters Afterlife and truly be able to kind of pass the torch on to the new franchise of Ghostbusters. I thought that would be an epic use of our time machine.
I like that. I like that because I think it would keep the heart and the soul of the Ghostbusters franchise.
Yes.
And the original writing team and everything. It's like,
they'd all be there. Dan Aykroyd.
I like that.
Harold Ramis. Oh, gosh. Anyway.
That's tough. Gosh, Matt, you hit so close to home for me. Not on like what I chose, but like you hit so close to home. Like now I'm just kind of like thinking of like how that would be now, and like I've lost focus on my thing.
I know.
So,
I'm like getting chills thinking about the four of them together. Like I'm almost getting teary-eyed if we could make that happen, but we can't.
So, okay. So I am also going to take the DeLorean into the past and pull something from the past and bring it to the present. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to go back to 2002.
Okay.
I'm going to grab Joss Whedon, the cast of Firefly, and I'm going to stop them from making their show in 2002 to die a unnecessary death on Fox. I would bring them to current and say, here's Netflix. Talk to them, because I think that show in today's day and age with Netflix or Amazon, Hulu, Disney Plus. I mean, so many of these other big streaming services that are around. But I think Netflix specifically, if Firefly had debuted in 2018, 2019 with the same cast and the same amazing writing by Joss Whedon and Tim Minar, I think that show would have finished its first season instead of being canceled with only 11 of the filmed 14 episodes.
All right.
I think it would have had a great following, because we know that like it had a cult following and it did really well when they sold the DVDs, and they ended up raising enough money to do a film for it, and the film did, really well compared to how much money that they put into that. I think Firefly would do so well with some Netflix money behind it, and the fact that they could drop the whole thing and people could follow along and really binge it like they did when the DVDs came out, and see how the stories all fit together and see this amazing ensemble writing. I think Firefly, bringing that from the past to now, would be perfect. There's lots of things I could do, but this is one that I would definitely want to correct.
That is a good one. That's a good one. Bringing a show back that was almost ahead of its time in a way, and making it so it would work. I
mean, it's just, oh gosh, Matt. Like,
that's a good one.
It's the thing is like I wouldn't want to cancel like what it was, but like if I could just say like, cut everything, like move it from 2002 to 2018 and then let it drop.
Yes.
But on Netflix, like we would be talking about a third season that was filmed right before the pandemic this year.
22 episodes each.
We would be talking about how this huge hit on Netflix. Because, I mean, we're getting hits on Netflix based on stuff that was like video games and books and Stranger Things. Like, there's so much more chance for kind of niche sci-fi fantasy stuff to exist in the world of nerd and pop culture we're in today than existed in 2002. I mean, you couldn't DVR this show back in the day. You had to watch it on Friday nights when Fox put it there and left it there to die. Like, it's just, anyway.
Fox sucked in the early 2000s.
It sure did.
They really botched it. I mean, just between that and Arrested Development, two shows that were brilliant and ahead of their times that they just put the kibosh on too early. Anyway.
Yep. So yeah. Gosh. Bringing Harold Ramis back into the present from where he was in the 90s and bringing Firefly back. I think I'm going to say, Matt, you and I wisely used our ability to grab things that I think would not just like little pet things we love, but things that so many people love to try to better nerd pop culture.
Absolutely. Make the world a brighter place.
Right? Like, I'm not trying to do the old Biff Tannen grab the sports almanac version of
no,
this. I mean,
of course not.
You know, I mean, if I had the chance and it was like a side thing, I mean, maybe.
Some, sure.
Maybe. Just maybe. Okay. So, Matt, I'm struggling here because in my heart of hearts, I want to ask the Super Friends to go back, find an old movie, and recast it with current actors and actresses. But I worry that with Twitter, it's going to be hard because of the character limit. But I feel like that's going to be the most interesting question we could ask to see things. I mean, you know, what movies would you stop from being made? I think is also really good. And you know, what would you change? Whatever. I think that's also really good. But in my heart of hearts, I want to know, Super Friends. And you may have to write in emails more. I don't know. Like if you're gonna write me a summary that's gonna be 3 pages long, you're probably gonna have to go email. I'm just saying. What is a movie? Whether or not you think it's perfect or imperfect, it doesn't matter. But what's a movie you would go back to? A movie, you know, an older movie you would recast with actors and actresses from today. That's what I want to hear. I think that's the most interesting.
I agree.
So, Super Friends, that's the call to action this week. If you need to go long form, email fortofnerd@gmail.com. Facebook also has a little bit more room, so facebook.com/fortofnerd. If you're going to do it on Twitter, I would definitely say just movie, character, actor, character, actor, character, actress, whatever. Like, try to keep it as short as possible, or pick a movie not with a lot of characters.
Yeah.
But like, if you're going to recast Fellowship of the Ring, I mean, you may want to go Facebook or email. You can also get us on Instagram, which is Fort of Nerd over there. Or maybe this is the time. Maybe this is your opportunity to call in and leave us a voicemail, which is 801-477-7687. And leave us a voicemail and we can hear you give us the explanation of which movie and who you'd recast.
Nice.
So making sure that we're rolling out the red carpet for some of the longer form ways to potentially let us know. Matt, I love time travel.
Yes.
I love time travel movies. I love the whole concept. I bet you if we wanted, like, we could have picked different movies. Like, we could have probably recorded this podcast 4 different ways and had all different answers, because I just love entertaining these notions. But sadly, we still have to keep this train rolling towards episode 200. So we don't want to get caught here on 193 in an infinite time loop. Although, you know, I would enjoy it for a while.
Those can be fun.
Yeah. But it's been fun. Like I said, I love this. I'm glad we kind of went down this little rabbit hole.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So, I'm looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to marching towards 200. We Super Friends, we've got a big announcement coming up for a change to the podcast for episode 200 and how you can be included, and we will let you know coming up. And just keep this train rolling. We're super excited. So from all of us here tonight at the Fortress of Nerditude, to all of you out there, wherever you may be, in time and space, may the Force be with you, always.